Let's get to our political panel now. Managing Director of Fitzpatrick Advisory, Eamonn Fitzpatrick, a former Labor advisor, and founder and director of DPG Advisory, David Gazzard, a long-time Liberal advisor. Gentlemen, great to see you both. David Gazzard, to you, you've worked on many budgets over the years. This one comes, and we often say this, the context is everything in terms of budgets, but this one even more so. The comments made by Governor Bullock yesterday really set the scene for a difficult line for the Treasurer to walk next week.
It's a very fine line, Kieran. We can't risk stimulating an inflationary surge at a time when inflation is still stubbornly too high and risk interest rates going even higher. The bias seems to have shifted to another interest rate tightening, not loosening, at a time where families in particular are very, very keen for tax relief and for cost of living relief. So somewhere in the middle of that, Jim Chalmers has to find his way through the middle.
Yes, and that's the point, isn't it, Eamonn? Because as David Gazzard said there, politicians want and need to show they're listening to people's concerns and show that as well. It doesn't always fit with where the economic trajectory sits.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kieran. But having said that, if there is a treasurer in these recent times who could pull it off, it's definitely this one. I think you've got to look at his performance over the term to date. He's done a lot in terms of trying to get inflation to at least level off and try and get it trending the right way. And sure, that's been going okay up until yesterday. And, there's still the sort of forecast going into next year where there could be an election is once they get past this sort of little uplift, or projected uplift, it'll start to go down. So, but when you look at his record and you look at his performance and the other things that have occurred, I reckon he is the guy. I mean, he's been very upfront and having to acknowledge the fact he's got to balance both of those things. A real need, as David said, and a real desire to get some more support from households, but also keeping an eye on inflation. And
David,
you wouldn't know, would you?
And as I touched on
the week before budget at the moment.
No. Well, there are criticisms of Jim Chalmers, and he's got his critics, yes. But David, you've seen and worked very closely with Peter Costello over a long period of time, and Jim Chalmers is one of the best communicators in his side of politics right now. And if anyone's going to be able to navigate it, well, there's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders at the moment to do that.
Yeah, look, he's a good communicator, no doubt about that, but his experience goes to entirely one budget. So we're at a very difficult time at the moment. The thing I think that's going to be concerning the Treasurer is that he actually can't meet the demands of the community. So at a time when they expect relief from him, they expect a tax cut, they've got used to treasurers like Costello who delivered tax cuts. They'll be all looking at that table in the papers the day after the budget, and there won't be any relief. And the problem for Jim Chalmers is he would like to be communicating now, but in the lead up to the budget, it is all bashings in WA, more detainees possibly being released, a wrangle with the coalition over detention laws, violence in Alice Springs, pro-Palestinian riots and demonstrations and hate speech on our campuses. It's a security debate, not an economic debate, a fiscal debate. And Jim Chalmers will find this very frustrating because it is not allowing him to deliver the messages that he needs to.